there are different kinds of trusts. There are revocable trusts and irrevocable trusts, just to kind of give you a general overview. Most people will benefit from a revocable trust, but there are uses for irrevocable trusts as well. And the differences between the two are kind of just as they sound. Revocable means you can revoke it, change it, and amend it. You have full control over everything that's in that kind of a trust. Irrevocable trusts are a little different. You are giving up some control over what goes into those, and you're giving up the right to be able to change the terms of the trust. So coming down to the pits, how can one or both of those trusts help us? Well, looking at protection, one way that a trust can protect you is helping to avoid probate. Many have heard of that process where someone passes away and they have some assets that can't be accessed. They might be a bank account that was just in their name, and now their surviving spouse or beneficiaries can't get the bank funds without going to court to get appointed. That's the process of probate. A trust, if that bank account was in a trust, it would avoid having to go through the court-involved process. Another way that a trust can protect is with long-term care issues. And I met with a client actually yesterday that his spouse is in a rehab, long-term rehab, and probably will end up staying there permanently. And he came to me and said, I don't want to lose my house, and I don't want to lose my other assets. You know, what do I do? He had never done, he had done some planning a long time ago, but he had an old, outdated will and healthcare proxy power of attorney, but no other planning. And all he had was a house and $200,000 that he received as an inheritance from his father. So if his wife does in fact end up needing long-term care, he'll have to use those assets. So if we look at some of the limits to getting Mass Health to pay for long-term care, as a married couple, they'd be able to keep around $121,000. And the house would be okay as long as we put it in his name. But there's still, if we say he has $200,000 in assets, that's an extra $80,000 that they're over the limit. So his wife wouldn't qualify for Mass Health today. And now we're at a point where what do we do? Does he just have to spend the $80,000 on the care, or is there a way that he can protect it? And there are some tools that we will explore with him. But if he had done some planning ahead of time, such as with an irrevocable trust, and got past a 5-year window, maybe that would have been protected. So there are uses for it, and it all depends on the situation. Generally, it was Paul that had mentioned earlier about the ways of funding assisted living and using the life insurance as a way to come up with some cash. And if whatever isn't used from that can go to beneficiaries. So we say that's great. What a great tool and creative use of an asset to fund your care. And we could take that then and do some planning with it. Can we take the cash that you get, put it into a trust so that it could still be used to pay for the assisted living care, but at the same time it could be passed on to your beneficiaries by avoiding probate. And also moving to the T, I'm going to skip over the I for a second, but move to the T in PITS, which is the transfers to beneficiaries. We can provide our beneficiaries with protection when we use a trust. So, for example, if we're going to leave two children, they're each going to get $100,000 each in an inheritance. They get it outright. One of those children is married and then goes through a divorce. Well, their $100,000 inheritance is now subject to the divorce proceedings. If the other child gets in a car accident and is sued, their $100,000 inheritance is potentially subject to a claim in a lawsuit. So is there a way that we could pass on that inheritance to them so that there's protections in place? And the answer is yes, through the trust. So going back to the life insurance as a funding tool, if we did that, maybe we'd put it into a trust. So it's used to pay for assisted living, but if anything is left, it passes to beneficiaries in a protected manner.